Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Devil May Cry 5. And now it is the present day again. Dante's hair has grown longer. His beard has not been shaven in a month.
Was completely useless.
And, his sword is broken. Isn't that a kick in the head?
Considering a month's time, his facial hair must grow very slowly.
He was in a healing coma the whole time, so I imagine it was happening slowly.
Yeah, no, that actually tracks because if you're in a coma, your body is using all of its resources to just not die. So the idea that his hair it would grow less slowly because that takes energy, that tracks scientifically probably.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not asking for Dante to look like Mr. Burns when he became a germaphobe with the 9-inch nails, the long hair, and the beard. Gets a new weapon called the Spruce Moose. But I'm just shocked that his facial hair is at least not a little thicker, considering that his hair also is his hair does grow out a bit.
And here we have Sparta. In Dante's hands again for the first time since the first game.
Sparta was the ultimate power-up in that game, right?
It's his dad's sword.
It was a damn good sword, although you would still occasionally want to switch back to Alistair because outside of the final boss you couldn't actually devil trigger with the goddamn thing. So you were effectively trading your devil trigger mode for a better sword.
Oh no, I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going.
I don't watch hentai.
Badnik flickies? I mean, not that I'm a connoisseur or anything, but I've never heard of a hentai that ended in badnik flickies.
I'm gonna put you in a robotic bug.
They did change the design of Sparta between games, which is interesting to me. Because Sparta had a consistent design between 1, 2, and 4. I don't think it actually even showed up in 3, but
no, because that's the prequel. So
they changed his look and made it look more biological and skeletal. It does still have Force Edge's hilt sort of melted in there though, so it's not a complete redo.
Do you prefer it over the original design of Sparta?
It's hard to say. The original design looked more like a mystical weapon, and this one looks more like a demon weapon.
It looks like it was plucked from, like the rib cage of some demon, which is good, it's aesthetically speaking, but it looks a little unwieldy.
It looks like Sparta performed a Mortal Kombat fatality on himself to draw his weapon, is what it looks like. Which I can dig, but it's just strange that they decided to change the design of this weapon. There is a story reason why Nero's weapons might have been redesigned between games, and that's that in the novelization, when he gets absorbed into the Savior midway through the game, his first Red Queen and his first Blue Rose melt into the Savior, and he loses them permanently. He fights the final boss in the novel with just Yamato. So, it's interesting that they decided to redesign Nero's weapons as if he rebuilt them from scratch, even though in the game continuity he doesn't really need to do that. But they are completely man-made weapons, so that shift in continuity makes sense. Dante's weapons are completely unchanged. His guns, his rebellion sword. The only weapons that look different are the weapons that are different weapons entirely. Except for Sparta, which has been redesigned, and it's weird.
Looking back at the older designs of Sparta, like DMC 1, DMC 2, and the most pronounced difference between those games and this one is the bones poking out from the back of the sword. Which makes me think that, unless I'm mistaken, there should be an EX taunt where he sets it up like a xylophone. And just like, boop, 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 and just like triple S that shit immediately.
Dante absolutely would disrespect his father by doing that, yes. I don't know what I'm doing right now.
Well, you used Royal Guard to block, but you didn't counter.
Well, the thing about Royal Guard is that there's a meter over there I see up in the corner. The more you block...
It's gone. What are you talking about?
The more you block with it, basically, the more energy you store up. And you get more energy for perfect blocks than you do regular blocks. But you can still build up energy by blocking. The more energy you have in that meter, the more energy you will release when you perform a Royal Release. So Royal Guard isn't just about blocking, it's also about building up energy for extremely damaging palm thrusts. You just...
And I like maxed out Royal Guard. Like if you max that shit out, that give back is insane.
It fucking hurts when it hurts, yes. The better you are with Royal Guard, of course, the more often you'll be able to take advantage of that. I like this mission, by the way. You're just going through a bunch of collapsing ruins, and you collapse the ruins yourself to alter the landscape and create a path forward. We are going to be playing as Dante until he catches up with Nero, by the way. So we have a good few missions as Dante here. It kind of feels like a better version of the mid-game point where you switched over to Dante after playing as Nero for the first half. Although the second half does include Nero and V gameplay, so it's not like a complete split like it was in 4.
I have to ask in retrospect then, do you think the game's story needed Dante's Clive-off routine, even if it was just a tutorial at the end of the day? Do you think they just could have easily thrown it here and simultaneously progressed through the story as well, instead of just like spending time on, oh, how did Dante get here?
It's hard to say, really.
Because I knock it a bit because by the time I get to like Dante's, flashback, I am kind of already sick of the Clive-off.
Yes. Yeah, I can certainly feel that. The Clive-off just unfortunately does not have enough environmental variety inside of it to really carry the portion of the game that it covers. I mean, we are at least past the point of every Devil May Cry game forcing you to replay levels during its second half. I mean, we rag on 4 for that, but it was a consistent thing that the series had been doing since 1. 2 does it. 3 does it. 4 just does it in the worst way out of all of them.
Yeah, 4 does it in the most literal.
4 is where they stopped pretending, is what it is. I love Dante's directional blocking animations in 5. I don't think he actually did that in the previous games. He just entered a blocking pose and there would be a force field around him.
Royal Guard.
But he looks like he's having the time of his life when he Royal Guards in this.
There was something odd about you, like being in Double Trigger while you're doing the Royal Guard stance. It's like you look like a Sentai villain. Like anticipating the Power Rangers attack.
No, just aware of his voice actor.
I think he got gassed and just gave up.
It is weird that every main character in this series has been voiced by a Power Ranger at one point, though.
If not a Power Ranger, then someone that helped like stunt coordinate Power Rangers. So I think, because I think Ruben Langdon was a Power Ranger at some point or another. I don't remember where or when, but everyone knows Johnny Young Bosch.
Are you talking about like just the really old Power Rangers or like new stuff?
Well, Johnny Young Bosch is the oldest one because he was the second Black Ranger in Mighty Morphin, replacing Walter
Jones.
Walter Jones, thank you.
Okay, so Power Rangers is a blind spot for me. I do know that the first Black Ranger and the first Yellow Ranger got changed because of the slightly racist implications of having a African American.
That was part of it. That was part of it. Another thing was contractual disputes. They wanted more money.
I mean, if I was a Power Ranger, I would also want more money, considering how in the mid-'90s the Power Rangers printed money like practically nothing else.
Well, on the other hand, playing devil's advocate for half a second, they didn't actually do many of the stunts because those were already done by the Japanese cast. But
they did the voice. They did do the voices, and like I would say, a voice actor deserves probably to get.
And there was also a couple of in-house stuff they had to film too in order to make the stories more cohesive because they couldn't just one-to-one do the Sentai story.
But my point is like as attached as we all were to the American Power Rangers cast, they didn't actually do as much of the show as the original Sentai cast did.
Oh, no. I'm sure that's the case, but even still, considering that there's like a good couple hundred episodes, even with just the original Power Rangers cast, they did what I want to wonder, because this is something I have not watched Power Rangers in probably 25 years, I think. What I'm wondering is if you go back and you look at old Power Rangers episodes, if you can tell which parts of the episodes were when they're in the costumes specifically, which costumes are American costumes and which costumes are Japanese costumes.
Well, all the fighting stuff is the Sentai stuff.
Well,
for sure, yeah.
Aside from that, though, in the really early stuff, sometimes you can see conspicuous video quality changes.
Yes.
Also, the White Ranger was just grafted in from a different series, so that's interesting, too.
Strange how the White Ranger and the other Rangers are never on screen at the same time. That's weird.
Generally speaking, they weren't. They did do their own stunts a little bit for the live action segments when they weren't powered up, but all the suits was Japanese footage.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, even if they weren't doing everything because the Sentai footage already supplements it, they were all still like martial artists. They were yoga instructors. They were dancers.
Like, and you know, there was always an arbitrary martial arts scene with the characters out of costume fighting putties before they morphed.
Yeah. Jason David Frank was the most accomplished.
Unless that too is also Sentai, and then I've been gaslit my entire life.
Yeah, it's just they got really, really good lookalikes. You know, it's amazing.
Anyway, I love this level, how you keep knocking down buildings and opening up new rooms to find stuff in. This is where, by the way, you find not only a blue orb fragment, although that is cool too, but you find Lady's rocket launcher just laying on the floor in one of these rooms, and it's like, what?
Well, she won't be needing this.
Yoink.
It is the most unceremonious weapon acquisition in the series since finding the shotgun under a table in Devil May Cry 1.
Do they establish clearly what happens to Lady and Trish after they get beaten up by Who's-Its-Face?
They get dragged away by tentacles, and then they've already been rescued. Well, Lady's already been rescued from the demon that she was trapped in by Nero, but Trish is still trapped in the night. V encountered the night, but we haven't actually fought the night without its horse yet.
Okay. We were kind of half joking we were making the Robotnik references because Urizen kind of does the same thing. But they put their bodies inside demons.
He's also trying to make a theme park based around himself?
Yes! That's what I've been telling everyone.
He just wants us all...
welcome.
Go ahead.
I was saying, welcome to Virgil Land.
You're
very motivated to ride all the rides.
It would be called the Gates of Hell. After that, what was it? A sculpture, I think, that was based on Dante's Inferno. Nero was almost called Rodan, by the way. It's fucking weird.
If I remember my Dante's Inferno lore, aka the first majorly successful fan fiction, I don't know, maybe the Odyssey is considered fan fiction, depending on... Anyway, I'm getting off of it myself. If I remember my Dante's Inferno lore, so everybody in Christian thought, everybody who is not a Christian goes to hell. Okay? And so, however, Dante's Inferno does address this, and it's just like, okay, what about all of the super rad people who just weren't Christian because, I don't know, they were born in a part of the world where there was no Christianity. Well then, the very gates of hell, like the outside door, is like pretty neat. Like all the philosophers and other cool people just like hang out there and talk, and there's like no torture or whatever going on. So it's just like, I imagine in Dante's Inferno, God's just like, oh shit, there might be decent people who don't believe in me because I don't like exist in South America. Well, they do technically have to go to hell, so maybe I'll just like clean up this little corner over here and there. You can hang out there, and I'll get you guys donuts on Thursday. It'll be great.
Okay. Something that I noticed about this mission is that that like the kick jump that happens when you jump off a wall doesn't seem to happen on all the walls here. It's very strange.
I will say I think this level's pretty cool, and it's a nice departure from the previous level, which literally was just kind of a walk forward and beat up enemies until you get to the end kind of deal. But like the shifting buildings, I think, is a really neat level concept.
I also like the architecture itself because, like, the buildings that we're going through is like some kind of church or something.
Yeah, it's very... Oh, you weren't kidding. It's just like, oh.
So how's this pronounced? Is it the Kalina Ann or is it the Kalina Ann?
I think it's Kalina Ann, but I don't think anyone ever says the name out loud.
Yeah.
Wait, how did it end up all the way over here if she was defeated in the underworld?
She got bopped really hard.
Okay.
I think it got knocked out the window and just ended up in a nearby building.
Like underneath a bunch of rubble, though? Like, okay, whatever.
Well, I mean, the tree has also been growing steadily over the past month, so it might have been in the tree and then fallen out of a branch as it grew, that kind of thing, you know?
Do they establish what part of the world the tree was came up in? Or is it just a city?
I think I missed a gold orb here. I just, like, half a fraction of a second, I saw a gold orb floating up in the top of that archway. Huh.
I don't think they established what city it's in.
Red Grave City is the name of the location.
Okay.
DLC 5.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, wait, did Ted ask a question? And my brain is having a hard time recalling what the question was.
You were thinking about the gold orb.
Yeah. Listen,
Yeah.
if I miss a collectible, I freak out about it, especially if I then accidentally go too far on the main path and can't get it again.
Lewis was this close to making schematics to time travel to make himself not miss that gold orb. It bothered him that much.
He could just reset the level, but whatever. The reason why I was wondering is that if the United States exists in this universe, I feel like they would have just nuked it by now after a month. But you know,
well, this isn't the U.S. This is actually, I think, Britain. And the only evidence I have of that is the ambulance that gets thrown at Nero in the first boss fight. I think it's a British ambulance. Not sure.
Oh, okay. I mean, there's still a 20% chance that the U.S. nukes it anyway, considering the world, but, I guess...
I mean, that's what they did to Raccoon City, so...
They actually nuked Raccoon City?
Yeah.
They also... retroactively speaking, they also did that to cover up their own involvement, so,
Oh, wow, yeah. I'm glad to know the United States government in the Resident Evil series is just as the same as it always is everywhere.
There's another ambulance. Can anyone tell me whether that ambulance is like a UK ambulance or what?
Well, if we can see what side of the car
that is a good point. that is a good point. Oh, I fucking hate these things. These are the shadows of this game. They're not as bad as the Blitzes, though. I will give them that.
Fuck the Blitzes.
Oof.
Do the bad guys in this game have, like, blood magic or something? Because he kind of made the ground bleed when he stabbed it.
Anyway. The Hell Judeca, or however the fuck you say that.
I think it was 2 T's, Judetta.
It's a really frickin' annoying enemy. Teleports around and stuff. It's not even the only teleporting enemy in the game, but...
There are a lot of enemies in this game, I've noticed. Is that, like, normal for Devil May Cry to have, like, 50,000 enemies that you have to fight? Or
the DMC games do tend to have a lot of enemy types, yeah. But I like how if you go from the pointing taunt to a shotgun blast, he just sort of teleports the shotgun into his hand. But yeah, there are a lot of enemy types in 5, and there were quite a few in 4 as well. It was actually one of the only...
fuck those guys.
I mean, you have a rocket launcher. Like, that sounds about right for how it would play out.
I'm glad we get to use Kalina Ann again, because it was a really good weapon in 3.
How long do you get to have it in that game?
Oh, you get it pretty late.
Yeah, Lady herself gives it to you after you beat her as a boss fight, and that happens toward the end of the game. The two basically fight over who gets to go after Virgil. It's Dante's big character moment because his interactions with Lady have taught him to, take responsibility and, resolve his family's bullshit. Because she's effectively doing the same thing. One of the bad guys is her father.
Was it Arkham, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like from Batman?
No, his name was Arkham.
Yeah.
Like Batman.
There isn't a... Okay, yeah, there is a dude named Arkham in Batman, you're right, but...
Wait, there is? I was just
Yes.
being a dick.
Yeah, that's what the Arkham Asylum's named after.
Yeah, the founder of the asylum.
Yeah, and just a piece of history. Man. I forgot how much I like the new and improved version of firing your gun downward that DMC3 introduced. When the guns can actually do decent damage.
Because you
can only do that in guns. You can only do that in Gunslinger, I think, right?
Yeah, it's just a basic style button action that happens while you've got Ebony and Ivory equipped in midair.
And you said that because in DMC1 you said the guns were considered like a crutch kind of, and they would give you no points if you used them.
They really did not play well with the style meter. The gun tended to break your combos, essentially. In 2, they decided to solve that problem by making the guns way more powerful and giving you free style meter for using them. So,
so it's the opposite problem where you can just stand in the corner and shoot your gun and then and win.
Well, I mean, it is advisable to shift more to melee and hard and must-die mode because you do more damage that way. But you do enough damage on normal mode quickly enough that, you can just spam the guns if you want.
I mean, I've found in many games that unless if you're hyper-optimizing or, like, if an enemy is dangerous enough where you need to kill them quickly, generally the easier but slightly longer thing to do is usually good enough,
Yeah. Well, it also doesn't help that there were a lot of flying enemies that just would not get into melee range anyway.
That's gonna collapse.
And Dante didn't get any decent midair options until 3. Midair melee options, that is to say. His only melee attack in midair was one that involved slashing down to the ground. So you couldn't exactly combo things in midair, More knights.
So while I'm thinking about it, they only ever did DLC for Virgil to be playable in this game, right?
Yeah.
Like base Virgil. So they never did a Lady or Trish. I guess it wouldn't make sense canonically, but
well, I mean, we talked about this earlier, but there were rumors early on after DMC5's release that we would be seeing a Ladies' Night DLC, which was all about playing as Lady and Trish. But it never happened, and it's so weird that it never happened because they literally just established playable Lady and Trish in 4 Special Edition.
How long ago did this game come out?
2017.
Oh wow. Well, first off, it still looks great. For
Well, that's RE Engine.
Yeah. RE Engine's ridiculous. But also, I mean, I guess
2019. My apologies.
Oh, so yeah, only 6 years as opposed. I mean,
as opposed to 8.
If they're trying to keep in with the tradition, then they're waiting another 4 before they add them to the game.
This is not even. I mean, the thing to take away too is, as mentioned earlier by Lois. Lois is playing this off of his PC, and Lois's PC is not like entirely optimized for the game, because we saw some frame droppages earlier. With certain cutscenes, so it can look better.
Yeah, I'm not like doing. I'm not at top settings or anything. In my PC, well, it can run The Witcher 3. That's about the best game it can run. But the RE Engine games never gave my rig any trouble, because the RE Engine is actually really goddamn well optimized in general. Like it's one of the modern-ish gaming engines. I say modern-ish because it's a bit behind now, but like it's one of the modern-ish gaming engines that always worked really well on my PC. Like it's one like after I played through Resident Evil 2 Remake on this thing, I was like, okay, yeah, any game with this engine, I can do it. And sure enough, when Resident Evil 4 Remake happened, runs smooth as butter on this rig.
The other thing about the RE Engine that always impressed me is the variety of games that it can run. Because many games are hyper-optimized for the type of game that, that they're making the game for. Versus the RE Engine does whatever the hell you want. Like, it can do, like, Street Fighter's in the RE Engine, right?
Yep.
So it can do fighting games, horror games, action games, 2D platformers with a hand-drawn art style. It still baffles me that Ghosts and Goblins was done in RE Engine.
Slices and dices makes Julian fries.
Yeah. Okay, who is Julianne and why does she have so many fries? Can I have some, please?
The thing about Capcom that I kind of actually admire, honestly, is that they do really focus on their own in-house engines. And their in-house engines are really good, unlike certain other developers I could mention. Bethesda.
Don't worry, any day now we'll... I thought you were going to make a jab at Sega, actually.
No, why would I make a jab at Sega?
Because their engines are all over the place.
Well, yeah, their engines are all over the place, but they do have the Dragon engine going for them.
That's the one for the Yakuza games? The newer ones?
Yep.
Okay. So, yeah, I've never heard anybody complain about how those games run, so, Oh, you can just block a flamethrower? Okay.
You can't really just hold block through a multi-hit attack like that, though. Eventually your guard will break.
And I'd say you're just not hitting it hard enough.
Like, does the game punish you for blocking at all? Like, are you just expected to not get hit at all or dodge?
Well, I think Royal Guard is the only one where you can block.
Royal Guard can block anything. Whether you're skilled enough to block any particular thing is another matter. Like, you see,
I see. There's like there's a meter on the left, and like if it fills up, you.
It was also draining double trigger, I noticed.
Yeah, the double trigger fuels your imperfect blocks in this game, essentially. Okay. But you can still do perfect blocks and not lose any. The meter is actually not for blocking. It's for it builds up energy from blocks that you can then use to fuel an attack.
Oh, that's neat.
That is the big reward you get for risking Royal Guard. The Royal Release, which blasts all that stored up energy into your target for one big attack that really hurts. And it's also really fast. So...
Isn't that a Metal Gear Revengeance thing that I'm thinking of, where you want to block a bunch and then...
Revengeance...
Well, there was a... I don't know if necessarily blocking is the right word to use. There was no block feature in Revengeance. It was just parrying.
Oh, parrying,
yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between using red orbs and gold orbs for revival? Like, do you get a worse score for gold orbs if you use them?
I don't remember what the score penalties for using them were, but you can pay different amounts of red orbs to revive with different amounts of health and different amounts of devil trigger. So you can be really cheap at the last second in a boss fight that you're about to defeat and just revive with a sliver of health to finish them off. Or get killed again if you suck. Or are just unlucky. Sometimes that happens too. I love Prop Shredder with Sparta because he...
Is that the thing where it goes like whoosh, 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 whoosh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that move's cool.
It's actually 2 moves, Prop and Shredder, which follow at one after the other. He turns the Sparta into a scythe for the spin, which is a callback, actually, to the reboot, where the Prop Shredder move was given to the scythe weapon. Man, it is so weird how everyone hates the reboot, but Itsuna likes it. It's just like...
Is Itsuna the guy who makes the Devil May Cry, like the new Devil May Cry game?
He's been in charge of them since 2.
Well, he's been in charge of them since the last 6 months of 2's development, more specifically.
My point stands.
Oh, man, you gotta love when somebody just gives you a real stinker and your first day on the job is, hey, fix this.
What?
Well, I mean, for as bad as 2 was, a couple of the mainstays of the series worked on it and maybe even got their start on it. It's just like, you know, that development history is just a real shit show.
Yeah, no, I can imagine, especially when you're doing a new franchise, you're always trying different things and sometimes they don't work out. But you said, like, the guy in charge of Devil May Cry, he just really likes... Was he involved with the reboot? Or was it a completely different team for that?
Well, Ninja Theory worked on it on their own, I think, in the early stages. But I'm pretty sure Itsuno and the main team had input later on. Because from what I remember hearing, the original gameplay that Ninja Theory put together wasn't really doing it, you know? So there was a bit of an intervention mid-development to get things back in line with the way the series is supposed to play. And to their credit, even in the pre-definitive edition version of the game, it wasn't a bad game. It just wasn't as good a game as Devil May Cry had the potential to be, as Devil May Cry already was in 4 for half the game.
I also know that, like, the story direction also turned a lot of people off.
Well, there's that too, yeah.
Yeah.
The blow's been softened a bit. Well, not a bit, considerably since the release of Definitive Edition, which is genuinely like the best way to play the game. And it is, I think DMC Devil May Cry is genuinely a great game. It's just, it was made in a very bad place.
DMC Devil May Cry, now with 100% less Fedora and 200% less color-coded enemy bullshit.
Who throws a motorcycle at you?
I think more than anything, the game still deserves to get the flack it gets because of like the original ideas behind its conception.
Okay, hold that thought, Ted, because the thrown motorcycle is actually plot important.
Yes,
believe it or not. I like how Dante immediately identifies this demon as Trish.
Oh, does Trish do that in the other games?
Yes. Okay. She threw a motorcycle at him. In the very first cutscene scene, she throws a motorcycle at Dante. He blasts it back at her with his guns. It was like the moment Dante established his badassery is when he just busted out his guns to blast that motorcycle out of the air.
It was kind of a wombo combo because I was like, you have the bit where he's blasting the motorcycle with his guns, and like, doesn't he get impaled and he just walks towards Trish anyway?
I don't know why I decided I wanted to play this in Royal Guard mode.
Because it's the new thing and you wanted to try it.
Well, I did want to try it, really, because, like, Royal Guard was a constant source of frustration for me in the previous games, because it just wasn't viable unless you were already really good at it. I'm building up that energy. Just a little more to go.
So you said Royal Guard is a new style for this game, but was it like...
No. Royal Guard is a style that's been with us since 3.
Okay.
So the thing is, oh, did you see all that health that just disappeared when I used Royal Release? Jesus. But like, okay, so Royal Guard has been with us since 3, right? But like, it wasn't really. It was hard to block things with it, you know? The timing was just really tight. And because 3 and 4 did not have a training mode of any kind, the only way to really practice the timing was to go into a mission that had a particular enemy in it and practice against them until, I guess, they killed you or something. And then they had the gall to include a secret mission in 4 where you have to perfectly Royal Guard multiple times in a row against those fucking ghost enemies with the scythe fingers. And I'm just like, no, this is not how you get people to want to use your cool blocking style. Anyway, in 5, they've reworked the style so that it doesn't have quite as high a skill floor as it used to. You can expend Devil Trigger on your imperfect blocks and just hold the block button to do that. But you can still do the perfect blocks, and on top of making the style more user-friendly just at base, they also included a training mode, which, among other things, lets you practice the timing against basically any enemy you want.
I do also find it cool that the Devil Trigger also is a resource that you can use for other things than just a super move.
Oh yeah, but that's always been at least a little true. Even Devil May Cry 1 had that time freezing relic that you could get in the final mission that also expended Devil Trigger.
Oh, it is? Okay. Well then, yeah, no, then I think that's neat. That, you know, you can be like, oh, do I save for Devil Trigger? Do I block? Do I do other stuff?
Yeah.
Devil Trigger can do.
Yeah, look how much health you just shredded from that. Like, holy shit.
And you get more Devil Trigger just by hitting things, right?
You get more Devil Trigger by being hit and by hitting things, yes. It's a bit like Overdrive from Final Fantasy X for the Aeons, actually. Oof. Yeah, that's,
so you are human.
That's what I get for actually trying to use Royal Guard. But you know, I think I've proven my point at this at this stage that Royal Guard is actually viable for the casual playthrough. It's like in 3, where you actually had to play the game with one style at a time. Royal Guard was always like the pro strats 4th, 5th playthrough style, you know?
I do appreciate how the charges like hold over even after you switch styles.
Oh, yes. Definitely.
So what style's the new one, then?
There isn't actually a new style. They're just new weapons.
You said there was a new one.
No, there's new things to existing styles, and there are new weapons, of course. We're about to get a new weapon now, actually, once we finish off. I think I whiffed with.
Yeah, you whiffed that.
Feels bad, man.
I do love that Dante can just like hold his hands up and block Force Lightning. You know, the fun thing about that is that, like, the Devil May Cry 4 novelization, which was only ever officially released in Japan, actually describes what Dante does when he Royal Guards. Like, he uses his demonic energy to harden his body at the point of impact, but he doesn't do it often because it requires very precise timing. Yeah, that's Royal Guard to a T. I love it when adaptations figure out weird logical reasons for gameplay mechanics like that. No, it's great, because, like, a lot of the time, it's a video game, just go with it is the answer. But it's also just nice when there is a real answer for it, even if the answer is, at the end of the day, still, it's a video game and it needs to play like that. But, like, having some sort of logic for it in universe is also... Oh my god! Yeah, I just... Wow.
I love that. It does even more damage if you pull it off while you're in Devil Trigger, of course. And now... Ooh. Okay, I mistimed that badly. I've got no Devil Trigger left because I just left Devil Trigger. If you pull off a royal release in Devil Trigger, you're of course you of course need to have Devil Trigger left over to pull it off to actually transform. So, you know, your reward for being able to do Royal Guard skillfully enough to pull off consistent perfect guards is that you don't need to waste your Devil Trigger. Anyway, you know how I said that busted motorcycle was important? So, bits and pieces of the demon that Trish was trapped inside just break off and land on the two halves of the busted motorcycle and transform it into a demon motorcycle. And it's like...
What am I looking at?
A demon motorcycle. And this, my friends, is, believe it or not, a cut Devil May Cry 2 concept. Of all things, an idea that they had during Devil May Cry 2.
Oh man, whoever had to program the camera for this probably was like under a microscope. It's like, you can't show any titty.
I mean, they don't have any bits either way.
Oh, like, I know they don't. But if you have to make sure that you wouldn't show what was supposed to be titty. Otherwise, the ESRB is going to get your ass.
You can assume that, but then there was that whole scandal with Beyond Two Souls and how the nude model for what's her name, the character had the bits.
Yeah, which is like really weird, especially when you consider that that's a scan of a real person.
Yes,
so, you know,
there was a not insignificant bit of trouble over that. So, you know.
You know, at the very least, like, this is a model somebody had to make by themselves. So, you know, it's not like a real person. But
they are using face scans at this point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So did they actually get Adam Driver to be V?
I mean, that would be funny, but no. I am a shadow, the true self.
Oh God, can we get some My Chemical Romance for this man, please?
Well, I mean, it would fit. I'm pretty sure his battle theme is somewhere in that neighborhood. I'm bullshitting through my teeth right here because I've never actually heard My Chemical Romance actually played on any radio.
It sounds nothing like. It sounds nothing like Crimson Cloud.
You've never heard My Chemical Romance? Hold on.
No, I haven't, and I don't intend to break that streak. Thank you.
I think you might have.
I'm on a roll, baby.
Yeah. You never heard like "Welcome to the Black Parade's" never played on the radio for you, or like. Somebody walking by you, or you know, in high school.
I couldn't tell you the name of any given song based on just hearing it. You know, a lot of the time the title doesn't really match up with the lyrics, if you know what I mean.
Oh well, no, in that song, the whole beginning is like a marching band thing.
Oh,
and then they talk about the Black Parade, and then it goes into emo rock.
No, it's not ringing any bells. But anyway, join us in the next part where we try out the sweet new motorcycle weapon.